Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. This is a life well spent. My name is Kelly. I'm a single woman. I'm 41 years old, and I'm documenting my financial journey on this channel. So we're going to talk all things money. We're going to talk like investing, insurance, budgeting, saving, all that kind of stuff, debt payoff even. And, my goal for this channel was to create a community of, like-minded women, because let's face it, women have different financial needs, I guess is the right word. And, than men. And women of a certain age have different things that they have to think about financially as well. So, everybody is on their own financial journey. So I'm hoping that you will come along with me on mine, and we can, build a community here and share with each other and support each other as we try to get a hold of our finances and live a life we want to live, spending our lives well. So, like I said earlier, we're doing like insurance stuff, investing stuff, whatever. One of the things I definitely will do is I will share my household budget, and I do that at the beginning of every month. And then I will actually close out my budget with you and show you how I actually did on my different goals and things like that in my budget. To help keep myself on track, I do weekly spending check-ins. And the biggest reason I've had to do this is because I used to be pretty good about money spending, except in certain categories. And then in those categories, when I started budgeting, I just did those in cash. So I would even like have cash envelopes, the whole nine. And I actually really liked them because it really took some of the work out of it for me. Like, once a month, I just had to distribute the money in the cash envelopes, and I was like, okay, that's it, and that made it really easy. However, because of the pandemic, I have really been trying to stay away from using cash for a couple of reasons. One, like cash is already dirty and I don't want to add COVID germs to it. Two, I've been doing a lot more like buying online or buying through an app and doing curbside pickup stuff. So cash does not really help with that. So I had to kind of go away from that. And then what I was finding was that I was overspending in these categories, because before I just looked at the money and was like, well, there's only $15 left, so that's all I have to spend. Whereas, when I didn't have the cash, I was like, no, I don't think I've spent anything in this category yet. And then at the end of the month, sure did. So yeah, so to keep a better handle on that, I have started to do the weekly check-ins for me and my budget. And I'll be honest, I don't always get there. Some days, like last month, my budget was a hot mess because of some things that happened at the end of July, and I just didn't really think through my budget. So yeah, that happens. But some months I'm right on target and I'm fine. Obviously that's what I want, but even if I'm a little off target by tracking, I think I am less off target than I would be if I weren't tracking, if that makes sense. So without further ado, this is actually going to be a really short video because I didn't spend a lot of money this week, not a lot of purchases. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so this is my budget template. I'm still kind of working out the design for me. I think it works, but I'm okay with it. So what I do is I have a transaction register over here, and I just put all my different transactions in. And there are formulas over here that are designed so that they'll read what's being put in these columns and in this budget category column. And it will feed it into here, so I don't have to do any totaling, which I kind of like. So I actually, I've said this in previous videos, but if you're new here, I have all of my bills set up so that I pay almost every single bill for my like utilities, my housing, all of that, all of my like living expenses. They all come out in the first week of the month. There is an occasional, sometimes my iCloud, like everything that needs to get paid, I should say, not just living expenses, but any kind of like regular bill that I get, comes out usually within the first week. Most of them within the first like 5 days of the month. And I like that because it's over with. And like, there's a week that I need to focus on making sure like, oh, did that money go out? Did that get paid? Let me check and make sure that cleared, that sort of thing. And I move all of my money to my sinking funds. on like the fourth or fifth day of the month, I think is when the transfer comes over. I do that by keeping a month's take home pay in my checking account at the start of the month. Okay. So if I have like, if my month's take home pay is, well, I can look at my budget, $37,31.90. Okay. So at the end of the month, if I have $4,500 in my checking account, I transfer the difference out so that I have $37,31.90 left. I probably do $37,32, but this is actually a new take home for me. It used to be about $3,000, so it's probably what I'm gonna do. So anyway, and I do that so that like, hey, the money's there, it pays out all the bills, and then my paycheck really just kind of replaces the funds that are there. If I'm under because I've overspent or because I've had to like, pay for something, whatever, I can pull it from my savings to adjust it. I was only ever over once, and that was last month, and that's because I was a real hot mess last month. We had a lot of like chaos and issues around the end of July. I really didn't think through, I said this earlier in the video, but I really didn't think through my August budget, and I forgot about things that I knew that I would buy and I would spend money on, and I just didn't budget appropriately for them. But also, last month, at the start of last month, my take home was $3,000, so I still had to pull like $700 some over to make up the difference there anyway. So that's where we're at. And again, like I said, I do that because I do not want to be, I don't want to keep track of it all month long. And I don't want to be in a situation where I'm like, oh, I should probably wait till I get paid to pay that bill and this and that, because then I'll forget. And I don't want to forget. That's worse. So yeah, so by the third week of the month, I mean, it's just usually groceries, gas, and something I wanted to spend money on. So yeah, we are looking at the dates, the 15th through the 21st. So I got gas. That might actually be my only gas expenditure of the month. Yeah, it is. It is. I haven't really gone much of anywhere, mostly because school's back in session and the Delta variant is running ragged. So that was the other reason why I overspent last month, because I bought some things that I was going to need to buy this month and then the beginning of October, like for my yard and for my house and stuff like that, because I didn't want to have to go out and get them with the Delta variant running crazy. So, and I knew I was going to do that, but when it came to doing my budget, I forgot. So that was annoying. And same thing with groceries. Like I ended up stocking up on a lot of like non-perishable stuff so that I did not have to go to the store and get any of it. I still do go to grocery stores, but I like just go in for produce and leave. So I don't spend a ton of time in there. Although this particular trip was to get, beer. I was going, my aunt and uncle came up with their camper. They were visiting nearby, and so I went to visit. I didn't want to show up empty-handed, so I showed up with some beer. And Total Wine is a wine store, clearly. And my friends and I get together and we do this really awesome wine tasting course. It's in a book actually. And my friend bought the book and I bought it too, because I was super curious about what we were learning about. But it's really cool. It does a tasting with, if you're a wine drinker, or if you're not really a wine drinker, but you're curious, or, you kind of want to expand your palate a little bit. It does a nice job of picking really good wines to help you identify different aspects and features of wine. So like, one might look at like acidity and sweetness in wines. And so like you can taste something and you can taste the acidity in it. And then you go to the next tasting and taste the sweetness in it. And you're like, I can feel the difference now. That really helps kind of clarify things. Like one of them is, to taste for oakiness, and you taste like an unoaked wine versus the same type of grape, just not oaked. And so it's great. Love it. I loved it. I had so much fun with it with my friends, and we haven't done one for years because we started this probably 5 years ago. We'd get together, everybody brings like a bottle of wine from the tasting course menu and some food. And that's where my Wegmans came in. I got some groceries for me, but also groceries for me for the week, but stuff to prepare food to take with, because you bring a food that pairs with the wine. And we've done this for years. Probably like 5 years ago, maybe it started. And then one of my friends got pregnant, and then it was kind of a domino effect. They all had babies. So we had to keep We had to keep pushing it off because we could, so there was always somebody who couldn't drink. And then probably finally, by the time we got to the point where we could have gotten together, it was like right in the middle of the pandemic. So then we could no longer, get together. So we had to kind of keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And finally we were like, wait a minute, we're all vaccinated. We can just do this outside. Let's get together. Let's do it. So we did. And it was fantastic. It was so lovely. It was so good. So amazing. The wine was delicious. The food was delicious. It was great. It was a great afternoon. So that's pretty much, those are my expenses for the week. It's all I spent my money on. Some groceries, bottle of wine, beer, which is still sitting in my fridge now because I showed up with it, but my aunt and uncle were like, we will not hear of this. We brought some stuff. We bought beer for you. And I was like, but okay. She made me leave it in the car. So yeah, total expenses for the week, I spent $148.37. Pretty psyched about that. Pretty psyched about that. Of course, I've already spent $500 on a trip, but that said, that's not all me. I'm splitting that with people who are going, so they just haven't paid me for it yet. So it looks a lot worse than it really is. It looks like I went way over on my personal, but I kind of didn't. I'm sort of trying to figure out what I should do there. Because technically the 502 came out, but it isn't, like, I didn't take that out. So, or I'm not going, that's not my actual cost, I should say. So I don't know what to do there. Sorry, it's an alarm filming this before I go to work. So that's no, really, you better be getting ready to leave now. If you aren't in the shower, get in the shower. But I've already done that because I'm doing this film. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's how I want to really put that. Because like I said, my friends are going to give me their share of it. It just came off my card on that much. So I don't want to confuse myself if I go back and look at this like next year and be like, what the heck is that? But I also don't want my budget to not really be reflective of what I actually spent. So I don't know. Maybe it just means I go back and budget more because I'll get it as extra income. Maybe I'll do that. So anyway, because I'd like to see if I really overspent and how much I overspent by, because that's not an accurate count, right? Say Levy. If you have any suggestions for me, let me know in the comments. Another thing I also do, here's an expense that I didn't know I was going to have. I think I'm going to wait till October though. I was telling my friend, oh, hey, we can go to the Canadian side because we're going to Niagara Falls. And I said, we can go to the Canadian side. That'll be fun. Make sure you have your passport. And then I started looking for mine because I thought, I'm not sure where mine is. Well, I thought I knew where it was, but I wasn't positive it was there, so I better go look for it. And I looked for it, and I found it, and it expired in June. So now I'm going to have to pay to get a new passport. That's irritating. It's very, very irritating, but I think I can push that off until next month. I think I'm okay with that. That was a weird sound. I think I have an alert from Alexa. Apparently we're getting 3 inches of rain, so we've got flooding. Hey, can't wait for that. So desperately need to get somebody into my basement and do something with it. Is what it is, I guess. All right, guys, that is it on my end. Thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. If you have any questions about the wine tasting, leave them in the comments. I will totally answer any questions about how we do it. And if I can find the link for it, I can put the link in there as well. Totally check it out. It's totally worth it. It's great. If you have any questions about my budget, how I come up with my budget, how I did this, anything like that, feel free to ask away. Thanks so much, guys. See you next week. Well, actually, let me look here. It's the 22nd now. Yeah, I will, next time I do one of these videos, I'll be wrapping up the budget for the whole month. I'll be closing it out. So the next video you'll see, I think I'll be doing October's budget. Bye, guys.